Hey, welcome to the Buckeye Blitz. I'm Jeff Thitoff. Tito, they call me. @ThitHappens, where you can find me on Twitter. This is the FanStream Sports powered by DSP Media. And make sure you download our free app. It's free for Android and Apple users. You can get all the latest content and catch up on everything we're doing. We got so many new shows we're adding on a consistent basis. Lots of great stuff. But don't miss our programming. Download the app for free. For Apple and Android users, absolutely free. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the Ohio State football and some of the transfer news coming out. Bo Atkinson is a kid from North Carolina, defensive end who Ohio State's been very high on. And right now, Atkinson is choosing between Ohio State and Georgia. Atkinson last year, look, he's 6'6", 270, comes from North Carolina. For the Tar Heels last year, he had 7.5 sacks. Would be a major addition to the Scarlet and Gray. And he would be coming here with 2 years of eligibility, which would be great. Of course, hopefully, the hope would be played so well, he would play so well, only need 1 year of eligibility and then head out to the NFL draft. But we'll see what happens there. But Ohio State right now, it appears to be gaining steam on the fact that Bo Atkinson could be coming to Ohio State. And again, the defensive line, that's the biggest hole for Ohio State right now, just because of lack of experience. And they lost so many great players from last year's national championship team that get their names called coming up here on the weekend in the NFL draft, mostly on Friday and Saturday for that. It's even more important now for them to get him because we got the news the Bucs missed out on Syracuse transfer Murad Watson. He was a freshman at Syracuse, and he's 6'3", 313. He was going back and forth to Ohio State and Texas. He ends up going to Texas now. So fans may still get a chance to check him out when Texas plays here on August 30th, here being in Columbus. Sticking with college football, Ohio State AD Ross Bjork is trying to get the college football calendar changed. He spoke at the CFP's annual spring meetings. We have more on that in a little bit too. It included CFP executives and also the ADs for Penn State, Notre Dame, and Texas in attendance as well. And one thing that bothered Ross Bjork is that classes for Ohio State started January 6th. Texas has started later on January 13th. Here's the issue they have. And I didn't realize this acronym existed, but there's something called CARA hours, C-A-R-A, CARA hours. It stands for Countable Athletically Related Activities. Here's what Ross Bjork said. When you don't have class, there's no limit to CARA hours. He said it creates some disadvantages. It all goes back to what's countable CARA hours per the NCAA structure. So Bjork said academic advisors had to travel with Ohio State, travel with the team and the athletes. Athletes had to miss classes, but the Buckeyes had to apply for waivers to get more than the 20 CARA hours they were supposed to have. Texas, again, because of the fact they were not starting class yet, January 6th, they didn't start to January 13th. There was no limit necessarily on what they could do as far as practice goes. So Ross Bjork wants that fixed, and seems like a very normal thing they should fix. I would think that's a very reasonable request by Ross Bjork. Early in the year, Bjork spoke about the disadvantages with the dates of the transfer portal. The portal opened on December 9th and closed on December 28th before the playoffs were even over. Now, teams that were still playing there in the playoffs, the teams that were still alive and doing whatnot, they were granted extensions until their seasons ended based on where they were at in the playoffs and whatnot. But those playoff teams weren't allowed to devote a lot of time and effort during that period to bring transfers in for the following season. And yet players that were waiting to see what happens also, they were still playing on playoff teams. So Bjork wants the transfer portal to move to a 10-day period in May for fall sports because the NCAA House, if they do this whole settlement thing to try and get that's approved, then a lot of the players, what's going to happen is the way they're going to do the revenue share agreements for the schools, they usually they'll go from July 1st to June 30th. So he thinks a 10-day window in May is what you need for fall sports transfers. CFP also came out, by the way, with their schedule. Again, it's going to be another 12-team playoff in the upcoming season. They're not going to change that yet. They have not announced the dates for those first-round games. But in the quarterfinals, those are going to be on Wednesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, the Cotton Bowl at 7:30. On January 1st, there's going to be a triple header. What's significant about this is they're starting the games an hour earlier as far as the Rose Bowl goes and the Orange Bowl. Orange Bowl's at noon on January 1st. The Rose Bowl usually starts at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be at 4 o'clock Eastern Time now. And then you'll have the All-State Sugar Bowl going on at 8 o'clock. So that'll be the quarterfinals. 3 games on January 1st, 1 game on December 31st. Semifinals are Thursday, January 8th and Friday, January 9th. Those are both 7:30 kicks. The January 8th one is at the Fiesta Bowl. The Peach Bowl gets the January 9th game at 7:30 Eastern Time there. and national championship Monday, January 19th, and that'll be down in Miami. So those dates were released. No dates yet on when the first round games would be, but we'll see what happens there and when they'll come up with those things. Speaking of the CFP, Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin came out and said that he thinks the field needs to expand to 16 teams. He was talking to Blake Topmeyer from USA Today, and he said the system doesn't have it right. I don't think anybody, after watching the games, would say those are the 12 best teams in America. So I understand what Lane is saying, but anytime you expand tournaments and expand playoff fields, you're not going to get the X amount of best teams. They're going to have teams that are automatic qualifiers that, because of was Arizona State better than Ole Miss last year? I don't know about that one, but look, Arizona State, though, won their conference. They get in. So you're going to have things like that in there. We're never going to have the absolute best teams in a playoff as we keep getting bigger. Now, you can make arguments that it was a two-team playoff, it was a one-game championship. You could make arguments there that a lot of the times they had the two best teams there. In a four-team, sometimes they did have the four best teams. You expand now to this where we're at 12 and then maybe 14 or 16. You're not going to get the insert numbers here, number of teams, number of the best teams in there. It's going to be some variance all the time. So I understand where Lane Kiffin's coming from, but it's not going to change. And by the way, we don't always get the best team to winning the championships in these sports after these tournaments. It's much tougher. The extreme example is the NCAA tournament, and the team that wins it every year, not necessarily the best team from the whole season. It's the team that got hot in the tournament and played the best in the tournament. And that's what you have sometimes in college football. Ohio State lost 2 games in football this year. I thought they were one of the most talented teams. You could make it argument they were the most talented, but Oregon went undefeated. Oregon beat Ohio State. So you could make an argument that the best team in college football didn't win the college football championship. The best team that won the team that won the tournament, that won the championship, was the one that played the best in that 4-game stretch, which Ohio State by far and away did that. So I understand what Lane Kiffin's saying, but there's semantics involved in that. All right, let's go to hoops now, men's hoops. The transfer portal for men's hoops ended at midnight, April 22nd. Sean Stewart waited until the last minute. The forward from Ohio State entered the transfer portal again. Stewart, who came to Ohio State last year from Duke, he's 6'9", 220. He started 29 to 30 games for Ohio State this past season. Averaged 5.8 points, 5.8 rebounds a game. And like I say, he spent the one season with Ohio State. After one season with Duke, he came in as a 5-star recruit. Stewart, Aaron Bradshaw, and Michi Johnson all came to Ohio State via the portal before last season. All 3 underperformed for a variety of reasons. Michi Johnson had the personal issues. He's trying to get a 5th year of eligibility, extra year of eligibility to go play back at South Carolina, where he came from. Ohio State to South Carolina, Ohio State to South Carolina. There. Bradshaw, he had effort issues. That's all. I mean, you can't be that tall and not get more rebounds. I can't put my finger on why Stewart didn't pan out, why he didn't do more. He was good defensively. So it's a big loss for Ohio State in terms of size, but it's not that big of a loss in terms of productivity. Not sure how much is going to be missed. I don't think Bradshaw's missed it all, and I don't think Michi Johnson missed it all. Ohio State took 3 big swings and misses in the transfer portal this past season as far as those 3 guys go. Jake Diebler's already added some size. 6'8", 240-pound forward Brandon Noel from Wright State and center Christoph Tilly, the 7-footer, the German kid from Santa Clara, both already signed on board with Ohio State. They're waiting to hear on Kennard Davis Jr. of Southern Illinois. Ohio State and USC were the ones most tied to Kennard Davis. He's a 6'6", 215-pound guard. That's a big for a guard for Ohio State at least. So he's got 2 years of eligibility left. He had 16.3 points, just under 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists as a sophomore. He shot 37.6% on threes, and he did play over 34 minutes a game. So that would be a nice addition for Ohio State. He did visit Ohio State already. I believe he was here for the spring game, maybe the day after the spring game, and went to LSU 1 week later. USC is also one of the ones who've talked to him. The ESPN came out with their most, the post-portal rankings now, how they think the top 25 is going to look next year, what they think the top 25 teams will be. They've got Ohio State ranked 24th. Projected starting lineup of Bruce Thornton, John Mobley Jr., Devin Royal, Brandon Noel, and Christoph Tilly. That would be a great starting lineup, I think. They've got to fill in still. They need another bench player, although if they get Davis, that will certainly, look, Davis would be a great addition to this team, I believe, but he'd be the ideal one to get. If they strike out on Davis, they'll probably find some other big guy to bring in off the bench to help out. Update on the women's team. ESPN's Charlie Cream put out a new preseason for top 25 next year, I guess you call it. The last edition had Cody McMahon still with the Buckeyes, and she's obviously moved on to Ole Miss, and that transaction is affecting the placement of both teams. Ole Miss went from unranked to 13th. The Buckeyes dropped from 25th to out. South Carolina is number 1, followed by defending champion UConn. UCLA for the Big Ten, they're 3. Texas 4, LSU 5. Other Big Ten teams in the rankings include Maryland at 12, Michigan's at 15, USC and Juju Watkins, depending on her injury, but how that'll be effective. But they're 19th right now. Iowa 22, Michigan State 23, Washington 24. Last year we had USC and UCLA up there at the top in the top 5. The way it looks like as far as Charlie Cream goes going into next season, you'd have more of a balanced Big Ten as far as the rankings go. Ohio State goes to unranked, like I mentioned. They went 26-7 last year. They lost to the second round of the NCAA tournament to Tennessee in what was a disappointing end to the season for Kevin McGuff's squad. All right, that's it for this edition of the Buckeye Blitz. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Jeff Tito Thitoff. Follow me on Twitter at @ThatHappens. Make sure you download the free app for FanStream Sports for Apple and Android users and check that out. Back again real soon. Lots of Buckeye stuff to talk about all the time.